My name's Dan Velasco. I'm one of the owners of Gulf World Marine Park. I'm the newest owner. I'm the youngest owner. I'm the best looking owner. I want you all to know that I'm here with my staff, Dr. Lydia Staggs, Secret Homes. Lydia is our veterinary medicine doctor who does all of our necropsies on all of the stranded animals, as well as maintains the health of the animals in our collection. Secret is in charge of our marine mammals training program, as well as the stranding network when it comes to the actual placement and movement of people and staff to collect the animals whenever we get word about it. I want to let you know that Dr. Staggs is going to do her presentation basically on dolphin anatomy and disease, and then Secret and I are going to work a little bit on the behavior and what we see in not only captive animals, but some of the stuff we've noticed in wild animals as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Staggs. Thank you, Doctor.
The pictures that you are going to see, these are stranded wild animals. There are 3 pictures of collection animals in here, and I will point them out to you. But this is the stuff that we see in the wild, that we have seen in Panama City, and that we've seen in other areas in Florida. So what is the cetacean? Just a basic definition. The order Cetacea is composed of whales, dolphins, and porpoises, and there are 2 major orders. We have the mysticetes, and then we have the odontocetes. The mysticetes are your baleen whales, that's your humpback whale, your blue whale, and there are 13 species of those. And then the odontocetes are the tooth whales. Those are your dolphins, your sperm whales, your porpoises. And the other major difference is the mysticetes have 2 external nares, which are 2 blowholes, and then the dolphins or the tooth whales have just 1 single blowhole. And something that is a big pet peeve of mine is people calling dolphins porpoises, and vice versa. So, very quickly, a way that you can differentiate the dolphin versus a porpoise, their rostrum, which is their snout or their nose. The rostrum on a dolphin is elongated. It's got a beaked rostrum, versus the porpoise, it's blunt. And the dorsal fins are different. So you have a falcate dorsal fin on a dolphin, and the porpoise has a triangular dorsal fin. And then finally the teeth. You have a cone-shaped tooth on a dolphin, and you have a spade-shaped tooth on a porpoise. It has nothing to do with their size. Dolphins can be small and smaller than porpoises, and vice versa. So those are your 3 major differences. And this is just kind of a picture of a dolphin in the inside, and this is, you know, your #1 predator of the ocean. Just remember, these are predators, and they're built to be predators. They hunt, and they eat, and they fight. So I'm kind of wanting to emphasize those features. Now here's our collection, some of the collection animals, and these are actually stranded animals that were stranded and deemed non-releasable by NOAA. And this is the, you know, your typical Atlantic bottlenose dolphin versus your rough-toothed dolphin. That's another species that we have in the Gulf of Mexico that you might see. They're a little bit smaller than the bottlenose, darker, and they're normally found in deeper water, but they will come in coastally during certain times of the year. So you might see these guys. Their diving and respiration, I'm not going to go over all of this, but they are strict apneustic breathers. They consciously breathe. They have to think about breathing. They aren't like us that we just breathe and we are not thinking about it. So that's a huge difference with us and them. And then the other thing is they have a lot of anaerobic metabolism, which means that they don't have to have air to metabolize. You know, when you go jogging and you have those muscle cramps sometimes, that's lactic acid formation that has built up. That is not, your muscles not getting enough oxygen. They can deal with that. So what's the importance of all this? The biggest thing is they can hold their breath for 15 to 20 minutes. And so if they decide to get aggressive and they decide to grab onto somebody, they can hold their breath a lot longer than we can, which could cause death, basically. The other thing, this is the goose beak. This is the opening to their trachea. That's what sits underneath that blowhole. It's at a 90-degree angle to the esophagus. So the esophagus literally goes around that goose beak. Now, why is this important? Why do you want to know about this? Because when dolphins are fed, they're finding inappropriate fish, and they're eating inappropriate fish, and it makes them sick they will sometimes throw up, and when they throw up, that fish will dislodge, or the force of the vomiting dislodges that goose beak, and they actually suffocate. So this is a huge problem. I see the grimacing starting. This is just the small microscopic section of a dolphin lung, and it's just to show that they have cartilage in their bronchi, which means that when they dive down to depths of 100, 200 feet, their lungs, the outer part of it can collapse, but their whole lung does not collapse from the pressure. Again, person can't do that. So if they're taking you down, if they decide to grab onto you and take you down, your lungs can rupture, and theirs are not. So digestion. Dolphins, they're piscivores. They strictly eat fish, basically. They should not be eating Twinkies or hamburgers or things like that, which we have found some people to feed them. Their teeth, I'm going to show you a picture of their teeth, but they have 88 to 100 sharp, razor sharp teeth. And then they have a 3-chambered stomach. And then this is just points of interest about they don't have a cecum, which is the appendix. They don't have a gallbladder like us. Their mouth, again, captive dolphin or inhuman carrier dolphin right here. And again, you see all those razor sharp teeth. This dolphin actually has 104 teeth. We count our dolphins' teeth and keep track of them.
Sorry, why is there a difference in teeth patterns?
Each species has a different set of numbers of teeth.
So I mean, all bottlenose have
Between 88 and 100 teeth.
also, but a bottlenose have a different one dolphin from the next one.
Yes, every dolphin has a different set
So
of
each
teeth.
individual has
Yes,
a different
each
set, not
individual,
species, okay.
and each species does too. Some species have 60 teeth, some have 20, some have 120. So that's one of the ways we can identify the dolphins that we find that are pretty disintegrated. We count their teeth to see kind of what species they are. Okay, so our dolphin stomach. We have this 3-chambered stomach, and this is the forestomach where the food enters into, and then there's a 1-inch opening into the second stomach, and then another smaller opening into the third chamber. The importance of this is once they are fed something, it's going to stay into that first chamber and not really move through the rest of their body. So either A, it's going to stay with them the rest of their life, or B, they're going to throw up. And if they throw up again, they risk that chance of dislodging that goose beak and suffocating. A picture of a stranded dolphin stomach. You open it up. That's what it looks like. This is what the opening is right there.
Gross.
It's not gross. It's awesome. It's so awesome. Okay, so their special senses. They have sight, hearing, taste. They have no smell. They have no nose to smell. And then echolocation, a lot of people talk about echolocation. Basically, that's the sense, it's sonar, where they send out a signal through their melon, which is on top of their head, and it bounces off an object. Those waves come back, and they actually receive those waves in their jawbone, and it's transmitted up into their ear. So they can echolocate on these people in the water. They know who has a plate inside of them. They know they can detect the pacemakers out of people. And some dolphins don't like that. So they know what is inside of your body. And just so you know to be aware of that when people don't disclose those things.
What do they got against pacemakers?
They might just not, they might not like it because of the electronic
It's an unknown.
signals.
It's an unknown.
It's
They
an
don't
unknown.
understand it. They
Yeah.
see all these other people,
Yeah.
there's not one. Now you're the exception and they don't understand it.
Yeah.
That scares them.
Yeah, you're different.
That's a behavioral hazard.
Right. So,
So I guess as soon as he's got a pacemaker, they shouldn't get in the water.
it's just another unknown risk, yes. So echolocation, again, we're bouncing, and that's the jawbone, and it's actually filled with fat that they receive those signals for. Okay, so bacterial diseases. I'm going to touch a little bit about bacterial diseases. The thing I want you to notice is this definition down here. It's zoonotic disease. And it's any disease or infection that is naturally transmissible from vertebrates to humans and vice versa. So what can the animal give us and what can we give the animal? The best example of that is the anthrax scare that we had a few years ago after 9/11. Anthrax comes from animals. and it kills people. Your biological weapons that they talk about, bioterrorism and everything, a lot of those come from animals and get into people and will do harm to them. All right, so erysipelothex bruceopathy. This is called fish handler's disease. And the bacteria grows on contaminated fish. And there are two forms. There's this acute, subacute, or acute form, skin form, where they get these bulla and they'll break out and then it's filled with bacteria fluid and it busts open. And where do they get it? They get it from the nasty slime on the heated fish that have been sitting there for hours and days in the hot Florida sun, and the bacteria just keep generating and generating and generating. And so when somebody goes, the bait fish, and goes and feeds it to the dolphin, that's one of the things that they can get. Now this form doesn't kill them, but it really hurts. There's a different form, and that one will kill them. This dolphin was a dolphin that once it was found, it was slamming its head into a pier having seizures. And when they did the necropsy on it, they found bait fish all in his stomach. And they cultured out erysipelothex from the brain and from the stomach. And so, not very good. Staphylococcus, we all hear about staph, MRSA, things like that in the hospital. If you have a cut or you naturally have staph on your hands, and if you are touching a dolphin and they have a cut or an injury, you can actually infect it. And now we're finding that the wild population of dolphins is actually having staph that they are getting either from the water runoff or for some other reason, and they can transmit that staph to us if we have cuts or abrasions on our hands. So that's another staph infection. Yeah, more reasons not to touch them. So again, this is just another example of a staph infection right here on the fluke of a dolphin. Does everybody know what a fluke is? Okay. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Clostridium. Clostridium is a bacterial infection that causes major diarrhea in people. And heaven forbid you have somebody in the water that cannot control their bodily functions. But there is a possibility that if they were to defecate in the water, that an animal could pick up the Clostridium if they have a Clostridium infection. Probably not going to happen, but it is one of those diseases that I wanted to mention. This next one, if it's the one I think of, is the worst, really bad picture. This is brucellosis. Brucella is a disease that causes abortions in dolphins. It actually will cause abortions in people for females. For males, it causes testicular swelling. This is something that can be transmitted from a dolphin to a person. Fungal, because you can't forget about fungus, there is a disease called Lobomycosis, and this dolphin has it. It's these white lesions all over this dorsal fin, and it has the potential to infect people, a fungal disease, and fungal diseases are extremely hard to treat. That parasite is called Xenobalanus, and it is normally found in deep water dolphins, normally, and so we're seeing more of it actually in this area.
Every dolphin we see that.
Right, right. So there are more and more parasites. Just like one or two is not going to hurt them, but if they're loaded with them, they're getting sick. That's a clue that there's something not right with that animal. Rake marks. So they naturally will use their teeth to scratch each other, and they can do quite a bit of damage. This is a rake mark on another dolphin. If you see a dolphin with a lot of rake marks, it can mean one of many things. It could mean they're getting bullied. It could mean that they're getting sick because they'll pick on the sick one. It could mean that they are immature, and Dan and Seeker are going to talk more about this, about a discipline of the younger ones. So, but the thing is they do this to each other naturally. So if they decide to do this to a person, it's going to hurt quite a bit because our skin is quite different than theirs. Dolphins in the wild naturally get ulcers and erosions, just like you and I can get ulcers. It can be from bacteria, it can be from stress. Again, this was a stranded animal. It died because it had a perforating ulcer that perforated its stomach, and that we found. So it happens in the wild.
This would be a natural cause of death for him.
That would be a natural cause of death. But why did it have the ulcers? Was it a bacteria? Was it stress-induced? That's what we try to figure out. When we do these necropsies on these animals, it takes us, the physical cutting of the animal is at least 8 hours. And then we take so many samples. Secret, we take what, 200-300 samples on one individual? And they're shipped all over the country, and we have 50-60 scientists looking at one individual part. So we find out what's wrong with these animals because we want to know. And if it's a human interaction case, which we're about to get into, we are even more collection of samples and picture taking and documentation, and we will track down. We can find the filamentous stuff and figure out where it was made and where it was shipped to and things like that. Okay, so pneumonia. It's very, very common, and remember how I showed you guys that goose beak a little earlier ago? They obviously don't have a nose. They don't have the hair that we have up in our nose, and that's a wonderful mechanical filter. So they don't have that, so anything they breathe, you know, your fumes from the gas and everything, any oil slicks or anything like that, that goes straight into their trachea and into their lungs, and it compromises them, and they get pneumonia very, very easily and very quickly. And that will obviously kill them. This animal actually was exposed to fresh water. It had been chased. And somebody said they'll go out into deeper water. Well, in some cases, they go out into the freshwater inlets, and they'll go up into the freshwater inlets. So this dolphin was trying to get away, and he got stuck up in freshwater. And this is what happened to him. He was in rehab. He healed. It didn't kill him, but he obviously was so sick that he beached himself, and we fixed it. Yes, you have a question.
Yeah, what did the fresh, I mean, why is the freshwater does that?
Okay, so they're designed to be in salt water. And when you guys are in salt water, or any water for most of the time, our hands get all pruny and shrivel up. So their skin is designed to not let water go out. They are protected in salt water. Well, when you stick them, go from a saltwater environment to a freshwater environment, that water that they are so used to not letting suck moisture in, they aren't used to letting moisture come in. They don't have any protection, so all that water floods into their skin and forms these pockets of fresh water all in their skin, and it bursts open.
How long did that take?
Painful.
2 days.
Really? For it to look like that?
No, not to look like that, but they start having effects after 2 days of being in fresh water.
They can venture in and come back out without any.
Yeah, they can go in and then they can come back out.
Just day trips.
Yeah, a little day trip, yeah. But if they get stuck, you're gonna see. Okay, so human interaction injuries, foreign body ingestion. Plastic bags are the #1 thing that we see because they get confused. They think it's something else. So plastic is extremely harmful. Toys, people think it's so much fun to throw them. Here you go, here's a ball. Somebody gave them a ball. Well, then they take it down, and the atmospheric or the pressure that will collapse that ball, and then they decide to swallow it. And we pulled balls out of dolphin stomachs. Fishing line is, again, there's this animal fishing line around them because they're trying to eat the fish because they're used to eating dead fish. Incorrect fish that are fed to them. I've seen firecrackers that are fed to them. I've seen money in the stomachs. And money actually, other than the fact that they shouldn't be eating it, money
Like
is
dollar
actually
bills or coins?
Coins. People throwing coins in their mouths and stuff, and they swallow it. There is actually zinc toxicity that you can get from some nickels and pennies, and it will kill them. It will leach out and kill them. The heavy metals will kill them. And then human food, like I said, pizza, hot dogs, Twinkies. Twinkies aren't even good for us, but we've found Twinkies before. So this is not what a dolphin should eat. Gunshot, what we were talking about earlier. Not everybody likes dolphins, and people are vicious and cruel and will shoot them, either because just out of pure meanness, or B, they are affecting them in their economy or their livelihood in some way. The instant thing, instant death, you've got that, but you also have, what if they don't kill them? Then they're visually impaired. They might have a loss of function of limbs. They might blow off one of their dorsal fin or their flipper or something like that. they might have paralysis and they can't swim, so now they're sitting there and they're shark bait or another animal. Sorry, and then bullet migration and fractures. Line entanglement, again, enough said. Propeller marks. And then this is an animal that actually was hit by a boat that didn't have a propeller mark, but sustained an injury where his lung collapsed because he was hit with the pressure of the boat. And then this is just poor body condition that you might see. We call it peanut head, where the fat behind here gets very, very thin. They look like a peanut head, and then their vertebrae start to be seen. And this can happen in animals that are used to being fed.